He used to be able to run at normal speed while he was burrowed.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good idea.
Just noticing the downside to having shadows in the game here is you can never really tell where they are in the match. Makes it kind of hard to keep an eye on them.
Yeah. And that by far is one of his best features, and what really makes him a viable mid to late game laner. Actually, is that you can never see him on the map. It's very hard to have proper map awareness of the shadow. In order to really count for him, you have to constantly be checking your creep waves to see if they're taking damage. But he really does have that ability to lane in the outer lanes, which in 4.0 is just incredibly essential, seeing as how the neutrals have been nerfed so much. Now, of course, we're seeing this slugfest in the middle, and not too interesting, but I promise you that's going to get really crazy later on.
Oh my, we might actually see first blood up top here. If Altum can get the energy for a fungal toxin, maybe not quite getting the energy for a fungal toxin. However, looking back at that slugfest in middle, Tak apparently using stepping strikes to snag first blood on Dab. The Zerg side transferring over to try and pick off Tak, but Tak escaping rather easily. Kind of hard to keep track of once Shadow kills someone, because you can never really tell where they're running. Someone from the stream is asking why there's no infested Terrans. I'm not sure if you guys realize this, but infested Terrans actually cost health to use, or to cast rather, so by spamming infested Terrans, you basically make yourself gank food. And that was how infested Terrans were balanced in 4.1 as compared to earlier versions of the game. Now Tak coming up to middle here, tries to get the gank on the Unix, but the Unix is basically waiting for him. The Fungal goes down on Shadow. Shadow goes down to the Zerg creep, however that mostly was due to the Fungal Toxin that was put on him. Mandrake may go down as well, maybe. So may the Toxie. There goes the Fungal Toxin, Light getting taken down by the Zerg Hive Mind, unfortunately for Altum. Someone's asking the question, what made Shadow so viable? Nothing really changed to make Shadow more viable.
This is one of those changes. Oh, go ahead, please.
And people just kind of figured out that, oh, Shadow doesn't suck as much as we thought he did, and started using him.
Yeah, it was really a change in the mindset of the community. I think it's left over really from the earlier days of 4.0 beta, or rather alpha, whatever you might as well call it, when Shadow was absolutely ridiculously overpowered. Then he got a major nerf basically to bring him back on level, and everyone who played Shadow was like, oh, this sucks, I'm never going to play Shadow ever again. And they didn't. And then just recently, he's really made a comeback on the North American server. Now, I've been watching Boysarn's and Shablagu streams, EU players recently, and I've been seeing some absolutely phenomenal Shadow work over there. Not in the middle lane, but actually in the outer lanes, which is something we really haven't seen too much here in North America. So it just goes to show that there are multiple ways of playing each of these different heroes, and they kind of evolve differently in the different communities. So we hope that that you guys will watch some of those replays and tune into their live streams to see how they're doing it over there.
So far up top, the Unix has put out a ton of pressure on both of the Protoss side heroes. I mean, Micro and Toxie traditionally are one of the strongest combinations to have in the game. But the way that Altum is playing this Unix, every time they come into the lane, they're just getting constantly harassed. And when Zerg wants to get a kill, it's extremely easy for Altum to get into position to drop Fungal Toxin and then unburrow himself to get the auto attacks. So we may actually see the end of the Micro Toxie domination, or really just Micro plus X, because as everyone knows, Spatial Flux gives a ton of energy to any allied hero that you use it on. So anytime you were laning with a caster as Micro, they essentially had infinite energy.
No, that's absolutely right. Changing the dependency to health has really done a lot to mitigate the problem of having an overpowered combination such as a Grav rank or a Grav, pretty much anything that can spam spells in the early game. It really makes you think twice about when you're going to be regenerating and when you're not.
mean, so far, as a top-to-bottom comparison, top so far has done extremely well against this microtoxic combination, whereas we can see on bottom the Rancor and the Kerrigan that have been down here are just going to be trounced by it. So you can see how much of a difference Unix makes in the laning phase, even without infested Terrans.
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk. We were just talking about Micro just recently. Let's talk about a couple other of his of the ways in which he was balanced in the most recent patch. If I'm pulling up my handy dandy patches right. There were a lot of issues with. Looks like I just missed a kill there.
Yep.
There were a lot of issues in 4.0 in coordinated matches of having an overpowered strength hero that you really couldn't take down as he progressed into the mid and late game. So here's some of the things that have changed with Micro to make him a little bit more level, but still very, very viable. Constricting Slime has been, the energy cost has been increased up from a baseline of 120, so that now it stacks slightly with level. I guess that really doesn't matter, but you know, in conjunction with the reduced energy regeneration of spatial flux, that will have a slight effect in the early game. But the real important change, which I really like, is that the expand strength bonus has been reduced to 90, 180, and 270, down from 150, 300, and 450. And so that's a pretty massive reduction.
It's not quite half of what it used to be, but it's close to it.
Yeah, and so what we've been seeing now is that players really aren't going for that ultimate right at level 6. They're tending to wait off a little bit because it does really kill your attack speed.
In fact, now that you mention it, the Zerg Micro is actually level 7, but he does not have his ultimate yet, like you were talking about.
And that's probably a smart move on his part, but hold off a little bit. And he'll actually, his DPS will suffer slightly when he increases to. I believe, I haven't done the calculations, but it was like that in 3.0. I assume that it's very similar now, especially with that reduction.
I'm not entirely sure how they knew he was there.
Well, if we have some ghosting, I'm going to be very, very upset.
That was a little bit bizarre.
We might have to watch the replay.
Yep.
Oh well. I guess we might not be able to trust people. Anyway, moving on.
I mean, just in terms of pure composition right now, obviously Protoss has opted to play extremely traditional, whereas Zerg has tried to move Unix into their build, which, I mean, would have worked, but the Unix seems to have been sniped rather easily. So we'll have to see who popped that boundary scanner first and saw him.
Yeah, he's really one of those heroes that is trying to make a way for himself in competitive play. He is kind of new, so people haven't really been taking the first steps towards figuring out how to fit his build into a composition. Now, Altum really has been almost making it a goal to try to make Unix viable and to figure out exactly what his role is.
If Zerg's not careful here, they may actually lose. Ooh, Dab with a triple kill.
Yeah, Dab just has an absolutely amazing shadow going on over there, and that's
right now,
and that shade just does so much damage.
It's 10-4 right now for Zerg side. Altum has 7 assists, showing off just how powerful that fungal toxin is in a team fight. If you're not sure if you guys saw it, but when he used it on TAC, TAC was brought down to, I think, almost half by the time he finally got out of the fungal toxin, just as how much damage it does. It's definitely an agility counter, because you can use it from, like, if you're playing Unix, let's say, and a hard carry comes out of the blue and jumps on top of your casters, you have a 3.5 second hold that you can throw on them, a 3 second ensnare that you can throw on them that they can't break. Now, I'm not sure if that actually works with stepping strikes. there goes that hold again, just destroying TAC outright. The Kerrigan ultimate goes down to cover the Zerg team almost entirely. Looks like there's going to be another initiation going down here. The Zerg's his shadow hasn't gone down, so he's going to pick up an easy double kill there. Going to be a triple kill here too. There goes the triple kill. Dab with 2 multi-kills in a row, just showing off how powerful Shadow is now.
And on the topic of Shadow, I just wanted to go to a little bit back in the chat a little bit. There was a question asked by God, cannot find it now, but I copied it right here. And this question is, Drek, haven't you guys noticed that when Shadow's invisibility to his passive activates, that he is somewhat pointless due to the visibility of the health bar and the unit Shadow? To which I say, absolutely not. It is definitely not pointless, even with the health bar and the Shadow.
That's not really the value of his passive either.
Yeah, his passive is worthless if you're considering it to be a cloak, which it absolutely is not. It is not intended to be a cloak that you use to sneak up on people. It is really intended to make him just a little bit harder to see, harder to target, and the aspect of his passive that is really probably the most valuable is not showing up on the minimap. Because if you don't have awareness of Shadow, you can't shut him down. So no, I don't think his passive is at all useless, even with the healthers.
Now, one other thing that was fundamentally changed about PlaySOTIS, there goes that boundary scanner again. That's twice.
Well, those boundary scanners are definitely going down all over the place. Some of those might actually be Rancor scans as well. But with the slight buff to boundary scanners in 4.0...
Rancor's dead, bro.
Oh, well then those are definitely boundary scanners, like I said. But with the slight buff boundary scanners in 4.0, we're seeing them have 3 charges instead of 2, which make them a little bit more useful going into the later game, because you're only using 1 slot rather than carrying around multiple stacks of scanners. Plus, they're a little cheaper overall. But as we go into this game, we are definitely going to be seeing at least a couple of Protoss heroes pick up some Chrono Elixirs to deal with that Unix, and we're actually probably going to see Chrono Elixirs on all sides, really, to deal with those shadows in the late game.
It's 19 to 5. I mean, a Chrono Elixir is a 400 mineral investment. It does disappear when you die. I'm not sure if this is going to make it in the late game,
my friend. Into the late game. Yeah, but
I mean, TAC just tried
I can hope.
TAC just got soloed by the Toxie. I mean, obviously, there 2 other Zergs showed up to finish that off, but if you're a hard carry, can't take on one of their support heroes, there are problems in the near future for you.
Indeed.
So right now the tower score currently sitting at 3-2 for Zerg sides. Not only are they ahead in kills, but they're also ahead in terms of towers. So they have a deciding advantage. I'm not really sure what Protoss hopes to accomplish by having these 3 heroes here. I mean, Sucal just showing off using a warp frag on Micro, just how much people hate that life loss that they get from Spatial Flux. Dab picking out a double kill, probably going to go for the triple actually, now that the other Protoss heroes run in here. There goes the triple. Will he get the monster kill, however? There goes the monster kill. Monster kill Shadow. Wow.
Well, it's certainly not unheard of.
Oh, look,
that Shadow really does.
You can see who uses Infested Terrans.
Oh.
And Ultim has killed himself with the ultimate. So
there's the GG.
That shows off just how viable Unix is in any team-based game. Obviously, he's sitting at where is he? 15 assists, which is, I mean, as much as the Toxie and the Micro have, but for a hero that was 0-3, that's not bad. I mean, obviously, Unix is going to be a lot harder to solo people, but as a kill setter or an initiator, he's a phenomenal hero.
and that really speaks to the team-oriented aspects of this game. In some public